Yes, please.
So is it true that my name is Bashir Khan?
Bashir Khan. Khan.
Mohammed bin Yam Khan. So is it true that Allah has 99 names?
And you can come forward. You will be an arrangement for the voice of the questions there. Now, is there anything today? Sorry? No such arrangement in the
The question was that
Here, come and speak into the microphone.
is it true that Allah has 99 names?
It's true. 99 plus. We don't know how many plus. We know the evidence is from Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself that it is related from him that Allah has disclosed 99 names to him. And those 99 names have been recorded in that tradition. But that is not all. 99 names have been revealed to mankind because mankind has the capacity only to understand Allah to the extent of those 99 attributes. But if another universe has a being higher than us, instead of say having 5 senses, if that being has 7 senses, so Allah which will appear to that being will have a greater number of names. On the other hand, if in a universe there is some species of life in contact with Allah, which is built on a minor platform than us, on a smaller scale, intellectually and in the capacity, Allah would appear to them in less than than what he appeared to Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he may appear to those beings with say 50 names or maybe less or maybe a bit more. So this can be effectively proved from the religious history itself. Allah did not reveal all these 99 names to Hazrat Adam or to Hazrat Nuh or to Hazrat Ibrahim. If you study the Bible, then you will find out that the attributes as mentioned in the Bible are much fewer in comparison to attributes mentioned in the Holy Quran, and include on those the ones revealed to Huzur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, although they were contained in the Holy Quran but not mentioned in so many words. So include those in the list, because as I told you, they have also a reference in the Holy Quran in verses form, but not in the form of one single name or attribute. So then they amount to 99. So if mankind at early stages of development was revealed much less by Allah than those people who stood at a higher stage of development, then the same principle will be applicable to other universes. So if they are lesser being than us in our own history, they may be higher being in other places, in other universes. So you can't limit your God. He is unlimited. Nothing can encompass him. So man should learn to be humble enough, and we can only say in relative terms that Allah has revealed himself to us in 99 attributes. But to say that he has only those 99, that is going a bit too far. Are you follow the whole thing? Zahid Sahib, the last practice has been that whenever there was no question, you came out to help us, came forward to help us.
Tafsir Kabir, when he was commenting on Surah Al-Fajr, وَفِرْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَوْتَادِ, has mentioned Zillatad. He mentioned prophecy of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was commenting on that verse, and he mentioned the prophecy of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said in Urdu that Hazrat said that मुहर्रम की 10वीं तारीख एक ख़ास शान और अज़मत रखती है, क्योंकि उस दिन अल्लाह ताला ने मूसा को फ़िरौन से निजात दी थी। और मुझे उम्मीद है कि ऐसा ही मामला मेरी उम्मत में एक दिन, ऐसा ही वाक़या मेरी उम्मत में एक दिन होगा, और उसी दिन मेरी कौम को अज़ाब से निजात मिलेगी। Now my question is that can we expect to be circumstances that...
Why not?
Thank you.
The same which you are referring to, the same part, he has also discussed it further and told us that although this was revealed to Hazrat Masih Maud salam, yet it was not fulfilled in his time. And also he goes on to explain that it so happens many a time that one of the caliphs is in fact meant in a prophecy in whose time a certain thing would be fulfilled. But the prophecy apparently relates to the Prophet himself. While it occurs, the subject of that prophecy is fulfilled in the time of somebody who follows, and he is the caliph of that prophet. Now after saying these two things, the third what he says is this, that so far this prophecy has not been fulfilled, either in the time of Masih Maud salam or any of his caliph's time. So from that I expect that it will be fulfilled in one of the caliph's times in future. Whenever such a Pharaoh appears, in that caliph's time this will be fulfilled. So if you read that out fully, obviously one hopes that we'll live long enough to see this prophecy fulfilled.
Muslim also mentioned the same context, one thing which is very relevant to indicate that this is a very time of fulfillment of the prophecy. When he said that ये बात 19वीं सदी इसे 19वीं सदी में कोई फिरौन ना जुल्म करेगा जमात पर, ये सारी जमात को पार करेगी जामुन खाएगा।
19वीं सदी तो गुजर गई, ये 19वीं सदी कौन सी आप कह रहे हैं? ये कौन सी सदी है? ये तो 21वीं सदी शुरू हो गई है हिजरत के लिहाज से, और हमारे हिजरत के लिहाज से तो 14वीं सदी खत्म हो गई, 15वीं शुरू हो गई है, और ये 20वीं के आखिर है, वो कुछ और होगा। 19वीं सदी नहीं, 19वीं सदी तो मसीह सलाम जिस सदी में जाहिर हुए थे आप थे, और दोनों सदियां आपने पाई, 19वीं भी और 20वीं भी।
तो अल्फाज 19वीं सदी के लिखे हैं शायद,
19वीं तो गुजरी हुई सदी है, इसलिए वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता। हाँ, 20वीं सदी गलती से मेरा ख्याल लिखा गया है, 19वीं गलती से लिखा गया है। तो जो मुस्तकबिल की बात कर रहे हैं और गुज़श्ता सदी का हवाला दे रहे हैं तो हो नहीं सकता। मस्ट बी डिस्टेंस। ओके,
so the prophecies of Hazrat Muhammad Islam, we read in Tazkira, some of them have been already fulfilled. Is there a possibility that his prophecies can repeat time after time again?
It depends on the nature of prophecy. Some prophecies have a sense, a character of repetition. For example, फिर बहार आई खुदा की बात फिर पूरी हुई, Now the whole style of the language bears repetition and denotes repetition. So such prophecies go on repeating. And certain prophecies again which are conditional, and the conditions have been mentioned. Whenever those conditions will be in existence, whenever those conditions appear, the prophecy will take charge and it will begin to be fulfilled. For example, there is a promise to Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu Inni muhinun man arada ihanatak wa inni mu'inun man arada ayanatak. I am going to muhinun man arada ihanatak. No, I'm thinking of muhin. Muhin is not a verb, it is a name. What do you call it? Ism file hai na muhin? Ism file. How is it translated into English? I'm thinking of the counterpart of ism file in English which I don't know. So this is, I'm pointing this out particularly because when a prophecy is made in verbal form, this will happen. That may occur once and then finish. But when ism file is used instead, that indicates a constant state. Inni muhinun is different, inni muhino is quite different. Inni muhino may mean that I will put to disgrace just once. But when Allah says inni muhinun, that means that it is almost like saying it's my attribute. Whenever a thing occurs, then I behave like this. So muhinun means I am the one who puts to disgrace, brings to disgrace. So this is the style which shows that there is a sense of repetition, a connotation of repetition in such predictions or prophecies. So the full meaning is that I am the one who causes to be disgraced. Whoever attempts to disgrace you. And I am the one who comes to the aid of those who come to thy aid. That is the full meaning. So the style of the prophecy itself is telltale. There is a sense of repetition, and you can read in that page that prophecy from the style the prophecy is carried, that it is a repetitive prophecy and not to be fulfilled.
About the earthquakes or about the plague town, and then you come and you see that after in 1906 or 7 these prophecies are repeated again. So does that mean that the one prophecy which has been already fulfilled in the time of Hazrat Muhammad, and then as for I myself was reading through it, I feel that there is a chance of the plague again and all those. Yes, sir. So could you please?
In fact, I wrote an essay on this very subject about 12 years or so ago, and that was published in Al-Furqan when Hazrat Maulana Sahib was alive at that time. And when he was the editor and the proprietor of course of Al-Furqan. So he asked me to write something on any subject, so I chose this plague. And my approach was this, that I went into the history of plague to understand the phenomena, because Hazrat Masih had laid great stress on this fact that this plague is not just like any other ordinary disease. It has been particularly chosen by Allah to punish the transgressors and those who refuse to believe. So So when I read the history of plague, I was wonderstruck by the fact that plague had also appeared in the time of the first Messiah. And when I pursued the history of plague from then onward, I was again surprised by apparently coincidences, but they were not coincidences, they were decreed things. That the plague, first time it struck only that small area where Christ appeared and he was refused and then he was persecuted. So it was a limited strike of plague, only to that area where atrocities had been committed against Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. And after a while it disappeared, and then it reappeared after exactly 100 years from that time. And when it reappeared, its sphere was much wider, but not wider than the world of Christianity. Wherever Christianity had been persecuted, plague appeared, and it covered a part of Roman Empire in the second coming. Third time it came after an absence of a few hundred years, at the time of just before Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. And then the plague came not to help the Christians but to punish the Christians. And this area was extended right up to Mesopotamia. And the whole Christendom suffered from this plague, and that was a warning that we have not been only destroyed spiritually, but you have been rejected now totally. The same sign which came to aid you, to help you, has now come to punish you. And that was the interesting thing about plague, that it spread along the Christendom and left Arabia alone. Just bypassed it. Through Syria, it went further east, and it did not travel down to Mecca or Medina. So fourth time the plague appeared was exactly 1400 years from Jesus Christ. And this time it came to Europe, and mainly it struck Europe. And the whole Christendom was stricken very terribly with this plague. This is called in the history of Europe as Black Death. It is known as Black Death. So this plague played havoc with European life, European cities and states, to the extent that in some places 25% people died of plague, in some places 50% people. I'm talking of the figures of the countries. And 50% of the whole population was wiped out by plague. It was so terrible. And the Christians, to prove that Allah has not been unjust, behaved so cruelly to Jews that they proved the fact that now they had taken the part of the Jews and they had become hard-hearted like Jews, and said they deserved the same punishment which was meted out to Jews once. They burned thousands of Jews alive, blaming them for this plague. And in some countries, some European countries, as many as 7,000 Jews are recorded to have been burnt alive in their houses. For the crime they had not committed, they said, because you are bad people, so plague has come. And by that act they were proving quite the contrary. They were proving that we are the bad people, the plague has come to punish us. So plague has a very special relationship, not only with religion, but the idea of Messiahhood. That is what is important. It does not come to the aid of other prophets normally in history, nor does it come to punish those who oppose other prophets, but only it has a special relationship with Messiah. This is why Hazrat Masih Maud was given this sign, and the 100 years are about to approach us now. The cycle of 100 years will be completed in 98. So if it doesn't come earlier, I mean, nobody can say it will definitely complete the whole cycle. Sometimes things apply broadly speaking, not very sharply, that exactly it should be 100 years, because nowhere it is written that it should be exactly 100 years. But judging from the past history and the vast behavior of plague, one can reasonably expect that it would strike again and more widely in about 1998 or so. Is not enough?
Just one answer. Well, in that case, the same thing will apply to Ahmadis and the believers, the true believers of Hazrat Muslim.
Of course, as long as they remain true believers and fulfill the conditions, it will apply, that guarantee of safety will apply to them as well. But if they have transgressed, to that extent they will be out of this cover. But on the whole, I cannot realize any situation where plague treats both equally. It's impossible. Because we have not yet conquered, we have not yet reached that point where we can say we have fulfilled the purpose of our creation. So naturally before that, we will not be permitted to be destroyed morally by Allah, inshallah. And the plague will show the same difference between Ahmadi and non-Ahmadi, generally speaking. Some Ahmadis were struck by plague even at the time of Masih Maud, but they were so few in number, and many among them were also saved, that the distinction remains clear and observable by everybody. Yes, please, one sound. From the lady side. One sound. Pardon? Yes, the noise is to stop now, please. No. The noise has something to do with your microphone, I suppose. So don't mind the noise. I should try to understand.
It was revealed to the promised Messiah that his followers would face hardship like the followers of Moses. So can we infer from this revelation that we the Ahmadis will not have to rebel physically, but inshallah Allah himself will destroy our enemies?
It was revealed to the promised Messiah that his followers will face trials. Yes. Does that mean that at the end we will be successful? I mean, we will overcome all these problems without the use of force?
What's your opinion? I'm asking you.
Well,
is the answer not so evident?
If the answer is evident, what I mean is, I think that is it not true that the promised Messiah also dreamt and he saw himself like as if he was Moses with his followers, and the followers at the time felt that they were not going to be saved, and he said, Allah, the fact
even Sakisa couldn't understand. My interpreter, you can? Yes, please come forward and let me know.
What she's saying is that the followers of Moses did not have to fight to protect themselves, and that God...
They didn't have to fight.
Well, I think that's what she was saying.
That's what she means. The followers of Moses were made to fight as long as they did not. The promise which was given to them was not fulfilled. It was told to them that you defer to till such time as you prepare yourself. If they had fought as they were destined to fight, then within 40 years of the Exodus, they should have got to the Holy Land. But they were still halfway in the deserts. Because when they were told to fight, they said, "Oh Moses, you go and you and your Lord and fight it out. When you conquer the city, then we will follow you. Till that time we just sit here." So Allah said, "Okay, you keep sitting. And I'm not going to fulfill my promise until you behave yourself." So until they learned how to fight, until they had courage enough to fight it out, the promises were not fulfilled. So you are ill-informed if you think that they got everything without having to put in any effort on their own part. Yes, please. Yes.
Talking to some Christians.
You can come forward so that your question is also recorded, because I am hearing complaints from America and Africa particularly, that sometimes the question is not recorded. It is difficult for them to follow the answer without the help of the question which is not there.
So I was talking to some Christians, and they were saying that although they thought that Islam was quite reasonable in logic, they couldn't accept it on the grounds that Christianity, once they believed, promised them paradise, and that the Muslim, according to them, could not be assured of paradise even if he believed, and that they were saying that it is a part and parcel of the Islamic faith that you can never be 100% sure of being granted paradise. So could you explain a bit further so I would be able to answer?
The question is, which promise is right and which promise is false? That's the main thing to be decided. If a false promise is made, however good the promise be, it will be worse than a small promise which is true. So it is just like telling your child that I am going to give you some sweet while you don't have a sweet. And on the other hand, somebody promises his children a little bit of the same, much less than the other who promised large quantity of sweet, and fulfills that promise. Who would be better? The one who makes the smaller promise and fulfills, or the one who makes a larger and bigger promise and does not fulfill? That is the question. So that promise which they think has been given to them by Christianity can be analyzed here on its face value and proved to be wrong, because Islamic philosophy is such that it is applicable to this life, and also it is not just a claim, it carries the proof supporting that claim as well. So the Holy Quran has explained the philosophy of paradise and tells, "Man kana fi hadhihi al-ama fa huwa fil akhirati ama." Then the angels tell those who are promised paradise, "Nahnu awliyaukum fil hayati dunya wa fil akhirah. Abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun." So the paradise which Islam promises is not something which belongs to after death, to the era after death. It begins here, and the symptoms begin to appear here. So that promise can be verified. It's not just something which you close your eyes and you don't know what may happen to you. But it says here on this earth will begin to show you that you belong to paradise. And the symptoms of the paradise will appear. Now these symptoms have been enumerated in the Holy Quran at some places. The Bible is completely silent on this. So as long as it is just a tall claim, how can anybody believe in any claim if, why not go to some other religions who make even louder claims? So if you have to go after claims and compare them, we are not in the market. Let them compare their claims in between. But if they want to judge scientifically, and find out the truth, then Islam has a system. And as I mentioned, in these two verses, for instance, it says that those who are blind here on this earth will rise as blind men in the hereafter. That shows that you can't expect paradise unless you have developed those abilities, the inner qualities, without which you cannot go to paradise. And those qualities are to be judged here on this earth. And this verse belongs to the changes which someone goes through while improving his soul by practicing Islam on this earth. According to Islam, when you begin to practice Islam correctly, then within you spiritual organs begin to develop. Like eyes, there will be spiritual eyes. Like ears, there will be spiritual ears. And a whole inner being begins to be born here on this earth. So this verse refers to this phenomenon. If you have not developed those spiritual eyes with which you can see your God and the phenomena of religion, then you cannot expect to be born with eyes in the hereafter. But there is this is something subjective. As yet, it is subjective, and some Christian can say that all right, we have also got inner eyes. We have developed them, okay. So, but there should be some objective study as well. Some proof where it can be positively shown that God, the paradise has been denied you and has not been denied us here on this earth. In the second verse which I recited, that phenomena has been discussed. Allah says, يَتَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. It says that those people who are promised paradise, they will be recipient of revelation through angels on this earth. The promise of paradise is not something just belonging to the other world. In this world they will begin to see the promise being fulfilled. And the angels which would descend upon them would be talking angels, not silent, quiet angels. That is to say, it will not be their inner thoughts and views which they will be attributing to Allah that we receive this revelation. It will be an observable phenomena, an objective phenomena from outside, that they will receive angels descending upon them, and they will be talking to them, and they will be giving them promises, and such promises as they will themselves speak to the rest of the world, that angels did speak to them. And what are the promises? La takhafu wa la tahzanu. That shows that they are passing through a state of fear, and a state where they are being deprived of their properties and their possessions, with the result that they are feeling sorrowful, they are sad and dejected because of these losses. When angels begin to descend, they come with this promise that from now on your sorrow will be turned into happiness, your fears will be turned into hope. So we have come with this message, and this message is to be fulfilled here on this earth. Now what better proof can you offer anybody that that promise of paradise has been fulfilled partly here? And Jamaat Ahmadiyya has been passing through all these phases, year after year, or decade after decade. And the history of Jamaat Ahmadiyya is a proof enough that when paradise is promised to us, that promise is just not a fake promise or just something belonging to the other world. It is a reality which we begin to see here, and we have seen here many a time before, and we are expecting it to be seen again now. So tell them, draw their attention that now this is the time to observe. Now we are speaking from a point of dejection, from the lowest depth, where almost all hope is lost. It's total darkness. And you can also share that darkness with us if you begin to see from our angle. So there is nothing which is obscure about it. And now we are telling you, the angels have started descending upon us. And they are promising. So you'll live long enough to see that this promise is kept, and then you'll know that the promise which was given to us about the life after death, that also would be kept. But what is the sign for your promises? You follow the argument. Thank you. Yes, please. Salat al-Wusta has been discussed at length by various commentators of the Quran and various jurisprudence schools, the imams of various schools of jurisprudence. Some people say literally means the namaz-e-asr. That is Salat al-Wusta, because there are two prayers before Asr and two after it. And Asr is the prayer which has been mentioned as Salat al-Wusta, and you should be careful particularly to perform that prayer. But there are other commentators, and we tend to agree with them more, who say that Salat al-Wusta means the one which occurs during your activities when they reach the climax. When you are engrossed in your job, when you are engaged in your pursuits, whether they are your work or they are your hobbies. For example, a cricket test is going on nowadays between West Indies and England, and they are such mad fans of cricket that when they are observing the cricket, they forget everything else. So any prayer which comes during such enhanced activities, that prayer is likely to be lost. So Salatul Wusta means right in the middle of your activities, right in the middle of your personal pursuits. Whichever prayer happens to be there, that is the prayer to be watched. If you don't let that prayer go waste, then you are safe, because the rest of the prayers will be easier for you to perform. So such prayers can happen at the end of the day as well as at the beginning of the day. Any time. Time of the day is irrelevant when you translate this like this. And Hazrat Rasul Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has himself opined on this subject, not with reference to the word Salat al-Wusta, but generally speaking he has mentioned this, and from that I infer that this meaning of Salat al-Wusta is correct. Because Hazrat sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that Allah is very happy, exceptionally happy, with such a person who has spent a tiring day, and it is difficult for the whole lot of the people who have shared that tiring day of labor, extreme labor with him. The rest of the people, they go to sleep. It's too much for them to stand in prayer before Allah. But there is one person who stands and performs the prayer, paying full attention to what he is saying, and also he enjoys that prayer. He says that is the person who is the recipient of very special love from Allah. Now that was Hazrat sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's style of saying things, when he did not mention the name of such a person, and that person was exceptionally loved by Allah, it was always he himself. This was modesty, that he wouldn't mention the name of such a person, and he would tell that Allah has told me that such a such person is highly loved by Allah. It is always he himself who is being mentioned without naming. So that shows that it must have occurred someday. Actually, it must have happened that during some jihad or some other period of very high fatigue and labor, all the Sahaba may have gone to sleep, and only Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would have risen for praying before Allah. And history bears me out that this happened not only once, but more than once. So that is Salatul Wusta, according to my concept of Salatul Wusta. That salat which is very difficult and heavy. If you pay attention to that salat, then you are the one whom Allah chooses for His special love and attention. Yes, please.
There are the news coverage in the newspaper and televisions about a bishop who says there was no virgin birth of Jesus Christ or the resurrection. And these were the facts we were saying and fighting with them, and now they are fighting with each other. And this is the good news for us.
But this is not a new thing. This has been going on for centuries. The debate between Christianity has been going on right from the early time. There have been monotheists among them. There have been such who did not believe in virgin birth, and so many of the Christian factions can be detected by a study of history. So these phenomena come and go, and sometimes somebody appears who is more pronounced. So people begin to talk of him, and then he dies out ultimately. So it's not something new to help us. The most interesting thing about this phenomena is this, of which we should take heed, from which we must draw lessons. That despite this, they have been not external from Christianity. They have not been deprived of the right of calling themselves Christians. And the Muslims, unfortunately, have become so intolerant that at the smallest excuse, they begin to chuck such people out as agree in the fundamentals and only deviate in small things. There are Christians here who disagree with the entire fundamentals of Christianity, yet call them Christians, and they are accepted as Christians and discussed as Christians in the society. So the only benefit we can draw from this incident is this, that it's a lesson for us, for the rest of the Muslim world, that they should also show tolerance to internal differences. वक्त हो गया आपको? अजान दे रहे हैं जी? क्या